So once again, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday webinar presented by Skillcraft. This is Vignesh. I'll be your session moderator. About Wisdom Wednesday, it is an ongoing webinar series where the experts from various domains share their insight and views on the current market trend. Our goal is to empower the participant by creating a value in their respective careers. Today's session is about HR perspective on the new normal. The session will be presented by Mr. Kristuraj, BI. Mr. Kristuraj is working with Siemens Limited as an HR business partner. He has over 20 years of professional experience from various industries on HR business partnering, talent acquisitions, learning and leadership development, HR governance and HR support, policy design and implementation, employee engagement, merger and acquisitions, industry relations, and also implemented HR tools. He has successfully transformed recruitment process in his previous company and also set benchmarks in HR policy. We welcome you, sir. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Audience, this is going to be an interactive session. So please post your questions in the questions tab you see on the top of your screen. Without any further delay, let me pass the session to you, sir. The screen is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Vignesh. Thank you so much.
Yes,
sincere apologies from my side as well. This is very unfortunate, making to wait the participants. So thank you for your patience. Just quick feedback of what I have understood from the audience point of view of the participants. We have participants who are students, who are working professionals, who are also practicing HR professionals. So that's my understanding. With that understanding, the topic was discussed is about the new normal. So that's going to be the topic that we would discuss. When I looked at the participants today, since the participants are from different areas, neither I wanted to focus from the academics nor from the workplace. So I thought something that would connect each one of us. So that was the basis of which I said, let me talk about resilience. Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
As we see the term with an addition, building resilience, which means resilience can be built. So that's something very good. Yeah, so that's something very good. I know that we all are much familiar with this word called resilience, and now we will, and I also want your feedback and your understanding as we move along. So in today's context, we will also touch upon a little bit about the VUCA world, which most of us are much familiar in today's context. But let me set the context. Why resilience is so important in today's context. I think this is very, I would touch upon three aspects, and there could be many more. Whatever my understanding, I will try to summarize it in 3 points. One is we need to overcome the obstacles. We need to overcome the setbacks. We need to overcome our frustrations. This is one of the essential things where resilience really matters. So first one is overcoming our frustrations, our obstacles, our challenges. The second important thing is about handling our stress, coping with our day-to-day stress, coping with our mistakes. So this is some second important thing why we need to have resilience. And of course, the third important thing which I also see is, if at all we have to reserve our energies, so which means that we appropriately use our energies. Resilience plays an important role. So with this little bit of a background, and let me take you. Okay. Yeah. So let me give you a quote that I am really impressed with, and we all know Nelson Mandela, a person in present almost 20 plus years, turned around things, a visionary, and I'm sure I think this quote comes from his experience. The quote is the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. So this is an important thing, I think, which is coming out from his own life, his experience. When I look at it and when I look at resilience, I associate this with many movies. One of it which I really like is The Pursuit of Happiness. I believe most of you must have had an opportunity to watch this movie. I think the characters, both the father and the son, played a fantastic role. And what we are taking a message from that, at least from my side, is that how this guy. First of all, this is a kind of a someone's life experience who lived that way. So that has been taken as a movie, and it is fantastic that this guy Will Smith, who acted in this film, and he's able to show the kind of challenges across various stages. He lives with one job and then he is able to move around and finally he becomes a millionaire. So while we say yes, in movies it is possible, but then if you recollect, if you are able to see the history, specifically, in terms of the innovations, and I'm sure we all would acknowledge that each of the innovation that we are experiencing today, we are benefiting out of today, not necessarily has been invented in one go. And I'm sure that quite a lot of failures, challenges that have come, and eventually these innovations have made. Which means that there have been failures, which there have been challenges, there have been frustrations, and I'm sure these guys who invented many things, they had all this resilient strength as an important one. So in today's context, when we all either in our personal life or in our workplace, we are all very, very sure that each one of this, complexity or maybe the volatility of the situation or the uncertainty of that situation or the ambiguous situation that we face through is putting through a lot of challenges to all of us. And I'm sure it is different from each one of us, depending upon what we do, be it a student, be it a working professional. It comes in the various forms. So when we talk about the volatility, we're talking about changes that are happening. We all know that the product life cycle, the technology life cycle, the cultures, everything changing in a fast pace in today's context. So in the past, it used to be a long cycle. Today, we're talking about shorter cycles. And when we look at the uncertainty, there is very, very little certainty that we have. There are a lot of security topics. And when we look at the complexity, this is another important thing that plays an important role why we should build resilience, is the complexity coming out of the influences. Many of us working through technology today, sometimes the scarcity of information, sometimes the over availability of the information. So these are also playing a vital role in terms of the necessity for having resilience. And of course, the ambiguity. We are working today with less information, sometimes missing clarity. So these are all also playing major challenges, and therefore the need for having resilience is very, very important. So let me, I'm not sure how we would be able to deal with this, and let me also look at, yeah. So let me look at, okay, so okay. I'm sure all of you are familiar with menti.com. Can anyone confirm it?
Audience, you can post comments and a Q&A session.
Yeah, correct. So that's also fine with me. So just wanted to take you through a couple of questions. If you can go to menti.com in your mobile phone and then type menti.com and then if you can, I'll show you the code which you need to use it. Then we can, of course, fine. I think I'm not sure whether there is a lag or maybe there's some issue on accessing it.
Or probably some participant may be also watching with their mobile headsets. So there may be a slight difference when they switch over those applications.
Okay, okay. Fine, okay. So yeah, so I think some of the words which are of course very yeah, very rightly put across. And if I move to the next slide to just sum it up, because of course you know, if I look at it in totality and try to put them into different baskets, and of course yes, we'll be able to place them in these 4 baskets. So we call it as say 4 dimensions. The energy that comes from the physical source, the energy that can be generated through the emotional side, from the mental side, and also from the social side. So the words that we have seen so far, you know, can be placed in each of this. And each plays an important role. You know, when we're talking about physical, yes, keeping our body fit, that's an essential one. And of course, emotions play a vital role. And therefore, you know, having the right attitudes, building the attitudes and nourishing feelings becomes more and more important. And when we talk about the mental side, we are talking about how do we keep our mental ability intact. And finally, the social aspect, which I think in today's context is, you know, is more and more important. We are talking about having the right relationship. We are talking about networks. We are talking about the social connect with people around us. So I thought I would also look for an answer for another question. But unfortunately, looking at the kind of a time we have and also sort of lag that we are experiencing, so I'll skip this and probably you know, move to this slide. I think this is where I would like to spend a little more time. This is so important, at least you know, from my experience and what I see as the most important things. The first one, we are talking about the challenges. The resilient people basically look at these challenges more opportunity. You know, we saw somebody talking about opportunity in the earlier slide. So these people look at challenge as an opportunity. They never look at this as an obstacle. You know. They look at this as an opportunity. They look at this an opportunity to learn. They look at this as an opportunity for improvements. So this is more and more important, that how do we look at the challenges in today's context? So look, are we looking at it as a kind of why to me, why not to others? Are we looking at it as a challenge and converting that as an opportunity? So that's number one, which is very important aspect. The second foremost important thing is the commitment. The resilient people again are highly committed to their goals. When we talk about their goals, not necessarily that something to do with your goals in the office environment. It's not so. It is talking about any of the goals. They have their goals strict, very clearly defined. It could be life goal, it could be academics, it could be on the work front. They're pretty clear about their goals, and they work towards it. Their commitment towards that is very, very high. In terms of reaching those goals. So they are ready to face any kind of challenges. They are able to get back and run to reach those set goals. And the third important element which I would like to briefly talk about is the self-control with self-control within us and also with others. Here what we are talking about is in today's context, there are things which are under our control, there are things which are not in our control. Many of us have a struggle between, way to focus, especially from the resilience, when we are talking about the resilient people again look at where they can influence the challenges, the topics, and they try to work around that rather than they talk about or they work on the concerns. Of course, not everything is in our control. So especially, when we are looking at the control aspect, we are talking about the importance of focusing on our areas where we have a control. So this is another important element. So these three things are quite common. And of course, I would also like to share one last slide to summarize. Then I am open for questions. Some of the attributes which I have, this is more coming from my experience, because not just taking from the books, not taking from purely from from the internet. I wanted to share something which we as being an HR professional, my interaction with many people and working in 3 different companies. When we look at different group of people, this is my summary in terms of what I see as something kind of a common attributes. Which is what I wanted to share very, very importantly. The first one which I have seen, these people have a very, very positive image about the future. So this is something that I have witnessed with different people who have the high resilience. They look at future very, very positively. They look at positively in terms of that there would be something new coming up. There is something development is going to happen. So they look at the more positively rather than looking for a kind of challenges that they might face. So that's what which I have seen as one of the important attribute for people with high resilience. The second thing which I have seen is they also have very, very clear goals. And of course, they have the desire to achieve these goals. And so that's kind of a difference that I have seen. People who are high resilient. Yes, there are a lot of people among us, including me, that a lot of people have goals clear, sometimes not so clear, but some of us are also so clear, but unfortunately the desire to achieve these goals is something what I see is missing. But when I look at people who say high resilience, I see them very, very focused way they work. They drive for result, they drive for achieving these goals. And the third important thing which I have seen is basically they are very, very empathetic. They are very compassionate. At the same time, they don't worry about what others think. They are very, very clear, in terms of their own focus. Of course, they empathize. They are very compassionate, but in terms of maneuvering around the society, working with people. They are very clear about, they don't care about what others think. They're very clear on their focus. And the last thing which I have seen is, changing the things that they have control over. This is what I spoke in the previous slide. We always know that there is a circle of concern. There is also a circle of influence. These people I have seen basically moving from the circle of concern to the circle of influence. This is the difference which I have seen in the people where they have the high resilience. So they don't worry about things which are not there in control. They don't drain their energy. If there is an issue which is not in their control, they let go that. If it is in their control, they focus. They are ready to spend all their energy. All their energy in terms of maybe putting everything to get this this topic gets addressed. So they don't focus, summary is they don't focus on the things which they are not having control, but they are very clear in terms of the things that they wanted to, they have the control and they are able to focus. These are some of the attributes that I have seen from people. Of course, there could be many more. Maybe this forum is also that if somebody has any questions or maybe would like to share your thoughts on any of the topics that we have covered in the earlier slides. Of course, I'm open for my response, or maybe somebody also would like to comment on that. We are open. I thought it. Initially when I understood for live meeting, I thought it is more an interactive process. But then when I realized the late that it is more of a live streaming and there is no opportunity for others to speak, then I'll have to little bit, cut down in terms of what I wanted to say and keep it more monologue, and then take some of your inputs or questions.
So we also have some questions from audience.
Please.
So let's take it now, or?
Yeah, please. We can take it right now.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. So what do you suggest some communication strategies for a manager in the COVID situation?
Okay, so it is. Let me also mix with what we do in our workplace, in our company. First of all, the company strategy, has to be very, very clear. And it is not just when we talk about managers communicating different things to different people. So that's something that has to be kind of a big decision at a company level. And then that decision is not just sent across as an emailer. The appropriate way, at least from my side, is to cascade this information with a kind of different groups right below. Okay. What we also generally do is that we take at an organization level. First, there is a leadership team that discusses and agrees, and that this is what is the topic, and this is how we are going to communicate people. And then we go back and communicate this to our teams, And of course, there is a common communication which goes as an emailer, but it is very, very important, especially in this sensitive time, to make it very clear about what is the top decision about how do we deal with a particular topic. If I have to take one example, today we are talking, a lot of people are talking about work from home. Earlier we talked the same thing as a work-life balance, and today we are talking that from the point of current situation as a work from home. It is not going to serve the purpose or the intent of our decision if it is just a kind of emailer, it makes sense to have this communication cascaded at a smaller groups, or you can also engage and communicate such decisions via kind of a town hall meetings, whatever we call it as. So it is better to communicate. And number two is also make sure that you are able to also get the kind of a feedback, whether the intent of this particular policy, has it reached in the right way? Has it delivered in the way that it was intended to be? So that's I would recommend, for this question. I see there's another question. What are some of the initiatives taken by your company at a people level to handle this unfortunate situation? Yes, of course. I would respect every company come up with their own initiatives. Of course, we as a company also have taken quite a lot of initiatives. For us, the foremost important aspect is health and safety. It's not just at the time of COVID, but it has always been the principal decision of the organization. Okay, so health and safety is always kept at most, and it has played an important role in the current scenario. Okay, so that's number one. And this message is not just with the leadership team, it is time and again reinforced in many of our discussions with the leaders, with the managers, and also sensitizing our own employees. So that's the first and foremost thing that we have, we always follow, and we have followed it. And the second important thing we also looked at is to engage with the people at various levels. Either it is, kind of an HR initiative, or it is a partnership with some of the business colleagues in terms of, engaging with them. People looked at various methods. Some of it could be from the development side. Where we more encouraged people, to use certain portals, internal portals, for their development. So that's one of the initiatives that we have taken. The second, we also organized a kind of a leadership learning week in this period to engage our own leaders. We're talking about almost 400, 500 leaders in the organization, a 3-day virtual event, at the same time giving space to the managers and the leaders to make sure that they are able to meet their daily routine work. And more also making it as a more interactive sessions, power packed, more interactive sessions. So this was one of the areas we tried to engage with people, in terms of the development. Of course, there are other aspects when we talk about engagement, engaging with people in terms of bringing in some fun activities, engaging the families also in the fun activities. Of course, today we know that quite a lot of free tools are available. So the engagement tools like Menti.com, or there are a lot of other portals where you can use it to for creating some kind of a fun element in the groups. The another initiative is to make sure that the communications are also happening at every level. And this is personally driven from the leadership. It is not just the HR topic. It is also driven from the top leadership across the organization. It is also the leadership that drives at the BU level, at the segment level, at the function level. So this is another thing that we have been practicing very, very importantly. Of course, apart from that, when we talk about the safety, we have a very, very lengthy process in terms of how do we open up our factories, what kind of a precautions that we take, over and above what the governments are talking about. So this is another area in terms of giving the personal protective equipment, something that all of us have done, sanitizing the vehicles, workplaces, and etc. And of course, finally, it's so important for us also is that if someone is not able to come to work, possibly, that his family is not allowing, or he himself feels with all these adequate measures that we have taken, we still have kind of an initiative that we engage with our own health management team. We recommend them to talk to these employees, not just to bring them to the workplace, but also make sure that they are adequately morally supported, emotionally supported. So these are some of the initiatives. Of course, there have been many other initiatives, but these are some of the initiatives that we have taken.
Thank you, sir. There's a question from Mr. Raj. He's asked about, do you see the current scenario of work from home creating more gaps in communication as most of them are not face-to-face?
I would, yeah, it can be argued, but then what we look at, I can only talk about from our experience in the recent past, and what we believe also is that with an effective communication and engagement, of course, we will be able to come through this barrier, and for which we also strongly believe in the trust element. Okay. What we are looking at in today's context, we are not talking about whether somebody is clocking 8 hours, 9 hours. We just leave it to the individuals and the managers that you are expected to deliver what is expected. That's it. We are not talking about whether you worked, for 8 hours, 10 hours. As long as your deliverables are met, your organization goals are being taken care, that's good enough for us. Of course, this is a little progressive, and of course, we are also talking about working from anywhere, any place kind of a thing. We are also evolving a lot on this topic. But yes, there would be gaps. And I think one of the important thing is the communication. The second important thing we are looking at is kind of a trust-based leadership.
Okay, sir, thank you. We have another question. What are some methods how a person can improve one's resilience?
Yeah, correct. So if you pick up some of the points that we have spoken in our slides, what I have not added, or maybe we can also pick up something that we have spoken. See, we are not alone. We are in a living or working in a group. It is very, very important to have a very, very good social life. It could be having a friend, it could be having a group of friends. Where we are able to, get some kind of an energy when we are coming across certain challenges. That is something very, very important thing. The second thing, when we talk about physical, yes, I think we need to focus on our fitness. That we need to really improve. That would certainly help us to build our resilience. Of course, yes, mentally we know that there are quite a lot of techniques that we can work on. Yoga, there is something that we can all practice. So there are quite a lot of techniques that are available. And I think what we need to also do is to seek the support, whenever we have these kind of challenges. And as we take the support and work on these challenges, gradually we are able to face this, improve on this resilience.
Okay, sir. Thank you. We have a question on what changes you predict post-COVID. What are your prescription for HR professionals in VUCA world for their survival?
Come again, sorry, come again, once again. I
what changes you predict post-COVID? What are your prescription for HR professional in VUCA world for their survival?
Survival of HR professionals or the survival of the employees?
HR professionals.
Okay, HR professionals. Okay, great. I think it's one is that we need to foresee things which are happening, which are going to come, in the next few months. So that's something that we'll have to foresee. And second thing, we as an HR also should learn quite a lot of technological topics, using the different technologies to engage with people, because today we know that it is no more a kind of the face-to-face. It's more of a virtual. Now, how do we engage with our people? Using the technology. And also, I think it is also important. I don't know whether it is post or pre or post COVID. I think our focus would be more kind of a specialized work, and that's what I see as we move in the future. Okay. I think the operations topic, either the machines would take over or it can be done maybe by non-HR professionals. But I think what more and more is seen is that whether we are able to get into this kind of an expert or a core HR topics, be it on the talent management, be it on the learning and development, be it on the comp and benefit. I think these are some of the topics which I think is going to be a challenge for us, as long as we are able to transition to that kind of a skill set. I think we should be able to survive.
Okay, sir, thank you. And also we have a question on how AI is going to be helpful for human resource personnel.
Yeah, I think we have been talking about this AI for quite a long of time. Of course, yes, if we have the right tools in place, it would be of a great help to foresee what is likely to happen. So I think that's a big advantage. But is it there even in the progressive companies? I still have my own doubts, but I think that's one area which would be an advantage for us, and which also would be a challenge for us as HR professionals. Okay. Because most of the work that we do today, in terms of collating, analyzing, and all that, we'd go off, and what would be coming out is that how do we interpret these results and the outcome of this AI, and then what kind of decisions we will take. So it's going to be a big advantage, and it's going to be also a challenge for us. But I think this would help us to predict and, of course, support the business in a big way.
Okay, so I guess even HR professionals have to upskill themselves with those data science and AI kind of working environment.
Exactly.
Okay, great, sir. So we have a question on what are some of the insights of working from home?
Yeah, so I think, again, when we talk about within our organization, some of the principles that we are laying down, for our own employees. Okay. One, from the policy side, we are seeing whether we need to change some of the policies. And so that's one aspect that we are seriously looking at. Wherever we need some kind of an adjustments in the policies, we may have to do it. That's number one. Okay. Number two, what we are also looking at is between, working from home itself, whether we are interested in kind of, clocking number of hours, or are we only interested in the deliverables? I think as an organization, we are more focusing on the deliverables. And the third aspect, we would also focus from the ethical point of view, because making sure that you are working from home, but then you abide by all the regulations of the organization. So that's another important aspect where whether you are working from one company or more than one company, are you really following all the mandates of the organization? And the fourth aspect we are also looking at from the data privacy. That's also another important element that we are considering. Okay. Of course, in terms of how do we, because today what happens is that when you're in a group, when you're in the factory or when you're in the office setup, you're learning also, an important thing that happens every day. You're able to listen to somebody, when you're part of some discussions. You're in a coffee break, you're able to talk to people, you're able to understand what they do and what kind of topic that they deal with. But unfortunately here, maybe this is one challenge, that the knowledge front that we enjoyed today until when we were part of an organization in the premises, That could be one challenge. How are we going to, share this kind of a knowledge, among the people? So this is another area that we have to focus, and we are also working on that.
Okay, so in fact, in continuation to that question, so what kind of metrics or what kind of parameters that HR should take to encourage their employees to give, make them deliver more in their duties, like on their jobs? So is there any you recommend, sir, for those HR professionals to kind of?
Correct. I think yes. The first and foremost is, of course, the communication. Because we should be enabling the kind of a two-way communication between the manager and the employee, between the leadership and the employee. So how do we drive that? It is different from company to company. But most important thing is that enabling this communication channels, so for whatever topics, in terms of the grievances, in terms of the policies, in terms of the initiatives. So this is one of the things that I think HR has a vital role to play. The second important thing, what we also see, how do we enable them technologically, whether they have the proper infrastructure, whether they are adequately given what they need to deliver. This is something that we need to also address and give importance as HR professionals. And the third is also that in terms of engagement, with people, how we engage may be different from organization to organization. Someone can focus on the learning part. Somebody can focus on kind of having some kind of a fun. Whatever it is, or maybe it could be more in terms of how do we build the health awareness and how do we support people aspect, or maybe the safety aspect.
All right, sir, great. For the students community and the students audience, so you want to share some insights for them, how to gear them up for this new normal? Because everyone, especially that final year students, or in a way, they're kind of a little vague about their future because everything is not so kind of bleak for them. So is there any advice or suggestion that you want to give for our students community, sir?
Yeah, I would. Yes, I wouldn't say I'm not that place to give advice, but then at least I can share what applies to me and everybody.
Okay.
Is that we talked about this circle of concerns and circle of influence. Okay, today you may not be able to influence many things which are outside happening. Sometimes you don't have control. Therefore there's no point in worrying about it, losing your energy. Talking about it, getting frustrated about it. Rather, I would say that focus on what is possible by the individuals. Today, if you see, there are quite a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of what you are doing today. You are offering students a kind of a platform. They can maybe take some inputs from someone who has an experience in some particular area.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is something that is today available, and that is in your control. Making sure that you create a time for this kind of opportunities and making or using that. Maybe you can pursue something that something as a course or something that you can plan for, or maybe that you can pursue an hobby, which not necessarily that you have to go out of the home. If it is possible, yes, it's good. But if it is not possible, can you not create a good habit at home? Maybe develop a skill at home. Or maybe you can even, it's an opportunity for us to, improve on our health, getting into various methods. So this is what I would say, that, okay, it's not just for only the student community, but maybe for many of us, but for students specifically, that when you can't influence much about what's happening outside, just focus what is possible for you, whether you can create a habit, can you develop a skill, can you learn something new, can you be part of some forums? Can you deliver something, as a kind of a project? So just think about what is possible. Network with many other people, not necessarily that, you'll have to reach out to the topmost people, but just also network with maybe, other students, maybe students from other colleges. Try to exchange, create your own innovative way of, making some small groups and discussing the challenges in terms of, some of the topics pertaining to academics and things like that.
Okay, so thank you so much. In fact, I guess we have come to the climax. So that's for the questions. So thank you so much, sir, for your time. And I do understand your busy schedule, like you have allocated some time for us for this webinar, and we're so grateful for you. And in fact, you have given a very clear projection of what is there in this current situation, how we can able to overcome it, and also given various guidance and also insights from your experiences. So thank you so much, sir, for your time and your inputs. And dear audience, first of all, thanks for being a great audience. A recording of today's webinar will be available at our website and our YouTube page. Please do drop your valuable feedback and comments in this feedback session. Until next Wednesday webinar, this is Vignesh signing off. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vignesh. Thanks to all the participants in this event. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir.